Let's get ready to rumble!
I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly. Instead of all that.
Impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/autonavigator.
It's always been there. When you clean the faucet, take a shower, and water the lawn. So it's easy to think that it's always going to be there. But climate change and more frequent severe droughts are putting our water supply in danger. California is in the midst of a serious drought, and we can take action to help save water. Let's work together to make it last. To learn more about the changes you can make indoors and outdoors to conserve water, visit SaveOurWater.com.
Thinking of selling your home? Before you do, listen to this. Rex saves sellers $20,000 in fees on average. Our licensed agents work on salary, not commission, so you know they're looking out for your best interest, not their bank account. And with our one-stop shop offering mortgage, escrow, title, and insurance, Rex makes your experience a convenient one. Don't take it from me. Listen to these actual satisfied clients.
It took Rex a matter of hours to get the first offer, and within 24 hours we had multiple offers and had selected one. I saved roughly $16,000 using Rex.
The agent with Rex did a great job for me. She had my back from the beginning to the end.
Get the most out of your home. Call 833-REX-HOME. Don't wait for the market to cool off. Call now. 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. California Rex DOE number 019761010. For further licensing disclosures, please visit rexhomes.com.
When you run a business, setbacks change everything. And online, they happen fast. With your Comcast Business Internet, you can stay ahead. And now you can add Comcast Business Security Edge to make your network more secure. It helps keep your network safe with scans every 10 minutes. And unlike some cybersecurity options, this helps protect every device that's connected. Because when your information, your people, and your company have Security Edge, you can be ready for what's next. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with a fast and reliable internet and voice solution for $64.99 a month for 12 months with a 3-year agreement. Plus, ask her to get a $500 prepaid card with qualifying service. Call 1-800-501-6000 or go to ComcastBusiness.com today to learn more. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. New customers only with 35 megabits per second service and one voice line. Early termination fee applies. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. Security Edge not included. Prepaid card offer ends 12/21/21.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
So a friend told me about Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, and his exact words were, "It changed my life. I used to spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to remove tomato sauce from inside our microwave and soap scum off the bathtub. It's like seriously magic, and my secret weapon for cleaning the kitchen, bathroom, doors and walls, and even keeping my sneakers clean. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Greatest invention ever."
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, the unicorn of cleaning.
It's Super Cash time at Old Navy. Right now, redeem your $10 in Super Cash and save $10 on every $25 purchase. Use it on everything, even everyday magic deals. Go to Old Navy or OldNavy.com today. Valid 10/23 through 10/31. Excludes gift cards and clearance. See OldNavy.com/supercash for more details.
Your neighborhood grocery outlet remains committed to providing you a clean and safe shopping experience. Our stores are locally owned and operated by people in your community, and we love helping you save money. Here at Grocery Outlet, we believe bargain shopping should be fun. You'll find great deals on the brands you love, but also take care of all your shopping needs. Savings, safety, and convenience all in one place. Stop by your local Grocery Outlet today.
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton at Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C, and the good old boys around the country that love sports. It's all fair level war on a beautiful October the 27th, 2021. Grande Deportes. Bonjour. It's all fair in Leavenworth. Divinity Beach. Bienvenido is all fair in Leavenworth. to Big C Sports. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. You go by and test drive yours. Tell them United Methodist Church. Tell them Big C sent you. It's all fair in love and war. I want to say today's show, you can follow Big C Sports all around the world on 17 podcast applications. Just say play Big C Sports Podcast. You'll find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, Apple Podcasts again. And there's so many other podcasts, I can't remember them all. But just say the name, Big C Sports Podcast, Hopper, Stitcher, Spotify. There's so many. Really do appreciate that. As I always say, let's get ready to rumble. ESPY nominated Big C Sports Podcast. No teleprompter, no script, no producer in my ear. I produce the show. I broadcast the show. I do the topics. I edit the show. I do the commercials. I do the storytelling. Guess who's coming to dinner? This people gonna break a concentration. I do the stats. I do the play-by-play. Touchdown, home run, three-point play, here deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Barry Bonds has set the home run record. It's all fair in level war. You know, so much going on in Big C Sports Podcast. I always pay homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline. I'll bring that up a little bit later in the show as well. And I love saying I want to thank my son, Malcolm, for bringing me the information on the program. He's all over NBA stats. Give Malcolm the praise. And my beautiful daughter, Daisy, has helped me set up for sporting events with college coaches all over the universe. Really appreciate that. And then Big C with his wealth of knowledge. All fair and living word. That's why we say, let's get ready to rumble. Yes. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. That's what a lot of football players say. I want to say today's show also, I want to say, as I always do on every podcast, I want to say I pay homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. If you know anybody going through some issues in life, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. And definitely to get our veterans some help. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. Give us a praise. Give them praise. As I mentioned, iHeartRadio Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Alexa, Spotify Podcasts. Yes, you can say that. Castbox, Diesel Podcast, Podcast Addict, Hubhopper, Stitcher, Luminary Radio Line, all friend level, as well as 4 TV platforms. Give TV some praise. Apple Podcasts, that's Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Comcast Xfinity, Comcast TV. Really appreciate that. Just say play Big C Sports Podcast. You'll hear it pop up all over the universe. I also want to say today's show, I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, let there be light. Open your cell phone to say play Big C Sports Podcast. Also, one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible is Genesis 13:15 through 16. It's like God said, for all the land that thou seest would I give you, and thy seed forever. Also, the book of James chapter 4, verse 2, it says, we have not because we ask not. So if you want something, just ask. All you can do is ask. The answer is either yes or no. But if you don't ask, then the answer is definitely no. I want to say today's show also sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on its game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, eat the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with all this exotic meat. All fair and level war. I was doing my prayers today, as I do every day for God waking me up, and paying homage to my family legacy on my mother's side. Mama, the caller Hattie Leach, the matriarch of the family. My great-grandmother, she was a sound mind and body, made sure the family stayed together. And if she had anything to offer, she would split it with you. She was not a greedy person. Really loved the love that she gave. And then my great-grandfather, Pop, his name was Pop, but he was also a former Negro League baseball player. He was the first one to hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. All fair level war. Very sound business mind. They were always about keeping the family together. They came out of sharecropping, if you can believe that. They did not let anything stop them from rising and shining. And my beautiful grandmother, Mud Deer, she was a seer, a business mind, someone who worked hard to keep the family together and still helps me to this day, if that makes sense to you. And my grandfather, Hezekiah, also a seer, someone that worked hard to keep the family together. And my beautiful mother started a Head Start program in Northern California It helped the Little League Baseball team win the championship of the universe. Give us some praise. Head Start and the Little League Championship. And said, rise and shine, you got to give us some praise. Always giving mama some praise. Praise, praise, praise. Time to rise and shine. On my father's side, the patriarch of the family, my grandfather, Albert Curry, a pastor, had two service stations in Oakland, California, also built 2 churches. And as a pastor, and my grandmother, Alberta Curry, she was also a business mind and then also helped with the church. Just wonderful family. Touched me on my forehead when I was 8 years old and said, boy, you make too much noise. Get outside and play. No, she said, there's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. And it's amazing that I'm doing right now what she said way back in the day in Oakland, California. Love that. And my father, retired Air Force fighter pilot and mechanic. Make sure the planes can fly high so we can all stay safe, set, develop your mind to its highest extent. And my brother Todd, that's why I learned to talk so loud, because he has such a deep voice. He always said, my goodness, man, who ate all the last hot dogs? It's all there. And Level War, really appreciate that. Who ate all the last Big Z burgers? You know they come with exotic meat. Man, what a great day on a beautiful hump day. Happy Wednesday. I wish everybody nothing but the best. And you know, for me, I want to just say, for everybody that's looking for a mortgage loan, you want to lower your mortgage rate, we have the Big C dating app. Go to bigcsports.pacw.com. Most of our loans are written by Rocket Mortgage and United Wholesale Mortgage, the number 1 or 2 lenders in the country. On the wholesale side, give us a praise. When you swiping left and swiping right, lower your mortgage rate. Bankrate.com. So many apps you can go on to. Our goal is to help people get the best mortgage loan. It's all fair and love and war. As I tell people about the real estate business, we really appreciate Big C Sports that goes all around the world. It didn't happen by itself. I'm so honored today that I want to thank Kat, who allowed me to step inside of the church and just do some prayers this morning on some things that I've been asking God for. Everyone needs an ark in their life. If you want to clear the fog and have an ark in your life, give it some praise. Giving God praise first. I know a lot of sports shows don't do what I do. They pray to God in quiet, but I do it in public. It's all fair and level war. For those of you that want to know more about what's going on in banking, there's Evergrande. Evergrande in China. Google the name. A lot of what happens with mortgage rates in the United States is affected by them. They have billions of dollars in projects, and it's all tied to making sure their economy stays afloat, but it also affects the United States of America. Are you ready for some baseball? Welcome to the show. Whoa, what a baseball game we saw last night. World Series 2001, the Braves. Charlie Morton threw 16 pitches on a broken leg. Yes, a broken leg. Give that player some praise. On a broken leg, and then apologize it wasn't more. Isn't that something? As the Braves jumped all over the Houston Astros in Game 1 of the World Series 2021 World Series. But inside the training room of the visiting clubhouse at Minute Maid Park during Game 1 of the World Series, friends kept dropping by to apologize. The Atlanta Braves pitcher, his name is Charlie Morton. Isn't that something? Charlie Morton, they talked about his misfortune. His response to them was that others reached out and helped him and gave him a lot of well wishes. A broken leg, and he said, I'm sorry? Can you believe that? He said, I'm sorry. Think about it. 102 mile per hour shut off his right fibula in the second inning, and he said he was sorry. The guy who worked through the pain to face 3 more batters and then retire all of them was sorry. The guy who pushed him so far that his leg quite literally gave out under stress on his ever was sorry. And when you think about it, if that doesn't tell you more about how strong he is mentally, and the great Charlie Morton, Atlanta star Freddie Freeman said, I'm not sure what he does, but pain is important to understand, has always been part of Morton's baseball experience. It's not something we'd ever wish on anybody. Anybody go out, I mean, don't go out and do it. Don't go out and try to break a leg. You always hear about actors in Hollywood say, go break a leg. They're just joking about that. He took it literally. Morton, I'm telling you, he threw, I can't tell you how much appreciation I have for him. It's a legendary performance, and he's offering apologies. Still playing baseball at 37 years old. Give that some praise. 37 years old. Because what he learned in the first half of his career, when he seemed to know what it felt like to have body pain. A lot of people at the gym, when I go to the gym, it hurts like heck, but you keep fighting through it. And if you can do it long enough, you'll kind of build up the tolerance But injuries are a part of sports. When you think about what Morton did Tuesday night, went beyond what most people expect to go through. It set the tone. Atlanta's 6-2 victory over the Houston Astros. Give him praise. It set the tone, and he wanted to win a championship so badly. He pitched until his body could no longer let him. He wanted to do it against a team that won a ring in 2017, the Houston Astros. Give that team praise. I still pick Houston to win this series. But can you believe that? Charlie Morton breaks his leg in Game 1 and win over the Astros. I'm just telling you, I'm really proud of it. Atlanta signed Morton. It was a 1-year, $15 million deal last November. And when you think about it, he can still throw about 97 miles per hour fastball. Down the middle, strike three, you're out! 97 mile per hour fastball, 80 mile per hour curveball. But more than that, when you think about how much pain he had to go through last night, I just appreciate that athletes sometimes have a broken fingernail and they got to sit out for a week. This guy had a broken leg. Wow, just nothing but a lot of praise. Give him a lot. I broke my wrist one time back in college. I know how painful it could be. I didn't know it was broken till the next night when I couldn't sleep. And so the inning is amazing. He goes to 8 innings, gives up 1 run. Like, I'm sorry, guys, Atlanta pitcher Travis, they are not said. He's amazing that he gives a lot of love and motivation to his teammates. When you think about it, in the training room, Morton is so beloved. When he arrived in Atlanta as a 24-year-old after spending 7 years in the minors. So you guys playing minor league baseball, keep in mind that you're just one blessing from God away. Give that some praise. You don't give up on anything. Tommy John surgery and his hip surgery, his shoulder injuries derailed his career. And now that he's finally stayed healthy for a few years now, is a season tie for the National League lead, 33 starts, and was really dominant in most of them. I just think Charlie Morton exits in 3rd inning, broken fibula, the Braves starter, makes a comeback to his right leg. Think about it. It was a comeback to his right leg in the 2nd inning and forced him from the game. But I'm still going to give him praise. 96 mile per hour fastball. It's an amazing pitcher, amazing player. He struck out Chas McCormick on 4 pitches, threw 6 more to Martin Maldonado, and then occasionally he was in pain, you could tell, but more than average Charlie Morton during the start, which faces the regular league. This guy is amazing. Between the innings, an x-ray machine in the stadium, it shipped an image of Morton's leg, and the diagnosis was no break. And first, he said it hurt, but his shoulder and elbow and hip hurt once upon a time too. And he pushed himself through it. And this is the World Series, even though Atlanta thinks so much of Morton, it already signed him to a $20 million extension, 2022. Give Atlanta some praise. Nobody can predict what's to come. Really appreciate what that good boy did in that game. That's why the attitude, it's the attitude that helped him get over the hump, and that's why they got a 6-2 win over the Houston Astros. But the storyline, he apologized to his teammates for not being able to play through the game. I'm gonna give him some praise. He deserves all the praise in the universe. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You know, when you think about the game last night also, there's so many people that have their thoughts on what it's going to take. Like, what's the Astros legacy? Can the Braves beat them? And there's so many people that like the Astros, and so do I. I think their pitching is dynamic. The Braves are a very good team, too. There's no doubt about how strong both of these teams are. But when you think about it, Atlanta and also Houston, like the 117th World Series, we are so fortunate to love baseball. The Atlanta Braves and Houston Astros, games 1 and 2, if necessary, games 6 and 7 at Minute Maid Park in Houston. That's why I give them the advantage. They have home field advantage. Now Atlanta has won one on the road, so they're kind of even. Games 3 and 4, if necessary, and game 5 at Trust Park in Atlanta, in the suburb of Atlanta. And then if you have what happened last night to go up to 1-0 to get that win, it really evens things out for Atlanta. But I think the difference in the pass that they took to get here, Houston reached its 5th consecutive American League Championship Series and won the 3rd time in that stretch. And it's a historic opportunity for them. Excellent company and the chance to win the World Series. They have the home field advantage, so it's not going to hurt them as they try to climb that mountain and win a World Series. Give them some praise. Give them all some praise. I really love what's going on in the world of Major League Baseball. They have Game 2 tonight at Minute Maid Ballpark in beautiful city of Houston, Texas. And we will see if the Astros can come back and tie it up. They got to get that win tonight and we will see if they have what it takes to get that win. I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path. Yeah, give the baseball some praise. Give it big praise. They love baseball. Barcelona fired Ronald Koeman after a shock and royal defeat is amazing. You know, these guys are sponsored by Rakuten. Days after Barcelona's loss as Clásico Memphis to play, it misses a penalty kick, and that forces the winner for Real Barcelona. Barcelona have sacked coach Ronald Koeman following Wednesday's shock, a 1-0 La Liga loss to Royal Valencia, and when the third defeat in their last 4 league games. Koeman's position had been seriously weakened after poor results prior to the October international break, and with back-to-back defeats, Real Madrid and Royal this week proving to be the tipping point. And when you think about it, 58-year-old leads Barca in 9th place in the league and the danger of missing out on the Champions League knockout phase for the first time in 20 years. 20 years. What were you doing in 20 years? What were you doing in 20 years? With the side yet to register away any win for competition this season, the club said in a statement, FC Barcelona have relieved Ronald Koeman of his duties as first-team coach, and the president of the club, Joan Laporta, informed him that of the decision after the defeat against Royal Valenciano. And then Koeman will also say goodbye to the squad on Thursday, and FC Barcelona wishes to thank him for his service to the club. They wish him well and say, "You're fired." But they wish him well in his professional career. Also, in September, the club that already sounding out possible replacement with Belgium and Roberto Martinez and former midfielder Javier Hernandez coaching Qatar was outside among the candidates for the time. Laporte had finished the first consideration of sacking Koeman in the summer and even told him he needed 2 weeks to try and find a new manager. In the end, due to a lack of credible alternatives, Laporte decided to stick with Koeman. However, sources said former Netherlands boss Koeman was upset by Laporte's reactions or his actions, and the relationship between the two had never been the same. Of course, when you fire somebody, you can champ all you want, you can clap all you want, but it changes things. It really does change things. So no matter what happens to that, I wish them nothing but the best. Today, despite missing players, they wish them well, but you can't say that you didn't score. But in Spain, you gotta, they take soccer so serious. After the results placed his job in danger before he was fired, Koeman said, "I don't think so." Koeman had been appointed by the previous president, Maria Bartomeu, 13 months ago, replacing Quique Sting after Barca's 8-2 loss at Bayern Munich in the Champions League in August of 2020, and left the job with the Netherlands and playing the Dutch Football Association for the compensation out of his own pocket. And take that as what he said was his dream job, out of his own pocket. Hey, you gotta finance your dream sometime. The Koeman who scored the winning goal in the 1992 European Cup final. Goal! In the European Cup final 1992 as a player for Barca, which earned him legendary status at the club when he seen time with the Camp Nou. His bench set by problems and on and off the field. It's all fair and level war. It's a tough business, and when you're overseas, oftentimes they take it a little bit too serious. It's not about what you did yesterday. It's what have you done for me lately. It's up like a daily thing, all fair and level war. But give it soccer some praise. That's Big C Sports bringing you an update on soccer around the universe. We're going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. In words of the former California Governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. Let's get ready to rumble. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 17 podcast applications and 4 TV applications from Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Xfinity Comcast TV, all fair and level war. On the applications, just say play Big C Sports Podcast. You can find us on Alexa Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast. Give it some praise. iHeartRadio Podcast, Stitcher Podcast, Luminary Podcast, as well as Radio Line Podcast Addict, Hubhopper, Radio Line, Stitcher. There's so many. I really appreciate that. But the key is just say play Big C Sports Podcast, and you will see all of our apps pop up. You know, I hate bringing up something that I got to bring up right now, but I talk about it in every show. And I'm going to keep talking about it because I want to do my part with it. you can't hide from things that are not pleasant. The only way we fix things is to talk about it. And sports is always part of talking about it. Before I bring that, I want to say today's show is sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on its game. Give it some praise. It goes great with the Big T Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meat. All of you are still sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers. My goodness, go to Cadillac.com. Look at Cadillac's thrilling new lineup. It's finally here. Cadillac.com, you'll see the Cadillacs and the SUVs, all friend level work. Proud sponsor of the Big C Sports Podcast. Kyle Beach, former Chicago Blackhawks player, at the center of an investigation into sexual assault allegations, has feelings of relief and vindication after findings. I know too many people of my lifetime that have had to deal with sexual assault and being battered. Should never happen to anybody. No one should ever have to put up with that garbage. But I don't like talking about it, but we got to. I mention it on every show. He's come forward that as a John Doe, quote-unquote John Doe, when you think about that, the former Chicago Blackhawks player who filed a lawsuit against the team for mishandling his sexual assault allegations. Think about that. Beach, now 31 and playing professionally in Germany, revealed himself in an emotional interview on Wednesday, saying that he felt relief and vindication. It was no longer my word against everybody else. An investigation, now, for people who go through assault, you got to tell somebody, law enforcement, you got to call 911, you got to put in a report. Oftentimes, what I've heard is that the assaulter will say, I'm going to hurt you or anybody you know if you tell. You got to tell. So, an investigation by the law firm Jenner and Block, commissioned by the Blackhawks, made public statements on Tuesday. The report concluded that nothing was done by senior leaders in the Blackhawks coaching and management in 2010. After he reported that Brad Aldridge, then the team's video coach, had sexually assaulted him and harassed him. No one should ever have to put up with that garbage. It happens to men too. So it's a day of many emotions. He said he cried and he laughed and he did a lot of things, and that he really didn't know how he had to feel. But he said that he buried his secret for 11 years, and it destroyed him from the inside. And he said he also believed that everyone in the Blackhawks locker room knew that the alleged incident had taken place. Isn't that something? A lot of people said nothing about it. They kept it quiet. They said, I don't want to be involved. But because of the comments were made in the locker room, they were made in the ice, and they were made around the arena with all different people, all kind of people around them, different backgrounds, players, staff, media, in the presence. Now, he was known, think about this, people. This happened to a professional athlete. So who are you as a civilian not to stand up and say something? Professional athlete, big, strong, and machismo, came forward. But he said Beach was known around the NHL as a black ace, a minor league player called up to the parent team for the postseason, often used for practice. He said the first person he mentioned in the incident was Paul Vincent, the former Blackhawks skills coach. Now, Beach met with Vincent at the team's hotel in San Jose in the 2010 playoffs and told the coach that he was sexually assaulted by Aldridge. So women, sometimes you feel, well, I don't want to come forward because someone's going to get in trouble, or you don't want to get someone in trouble. He only does it when he's drunk. No one has a right to assault you verbally or physically. So Vincent reported the incident to the members of the Blackhawks front office. Ultimately, they allowed Aldridge to stay with the team through the Stanley Cup run, because it's important to win a championship. So they allowed him to stay with the team through a Stanley Cup run. Keep that in mind. Deshaun Watson has been literally suspended by Houston Texans. And this is an assault, an accusation of touching. But he's African American, and the other gentleman is not. I just want people to be aware of what's going on with your children and your environment. You gotta be willing to talk about it. I just think it's painful to even talk about it, but it's true. We gotta not be pained by it and think about how the victims feel when they're the ones being assaulted. So, moments after the interview aired, the Blackhawks issued a statement. First, they said they'd like to acknowledge and commend Kyle Beach, his courage for coming forward as an organization. Now, they heard about this before he came forward. And now that he came forward, they think of it for his courage. But Kyle Beach's courage coming forward as an organization, the Chicago Blackhawks, they reiterated their deepest apologies for what he had gone through and for the organization's failure to promptly respond when he bravely brought his matter to light in 2010. It took him a year, guys. It was inexcusable for them, the executives of the Blackhawks organization, to delay for up to a year in taking any action regarding the reported sexual misconduct. No playoff game or championship game is more important than protecting our players. That's a lie. Because they knew about it and they did nothing about it. They were hoping he would just man up, toughen up. You know, you got to man up. Man up, these things happen. That's what they were telling him. Only when he came out did they say it's not tolerated. So women, sometimes you think it only happens to you. You got to stand up for yourself and your children. No one should ever have to put up with that crap. Think about it. As a 20-year-old, you could never imagine being put in that situation by somebody who's supposed to be there to help you, to make you a better athlete or a person. The NHL fined the Blackhawks $2 million. $2 million is peanuts for the organization's inadequate internal procedures and insufficient, ultimately, response. GM Stan Bowman resigned Tuesday. I mean, this happened a year ago. They all knew about it. Why he resigning now? Because he came out. Senior Director of Hockey Operations, Al McIsaac, actually, was also ousted, meaning that there's no longer any member of the 2010 Blackhawks front office that's still with the team. Give that praise, but why did it take a year? This happened 11 years ago, people. Now, Commissioner Gary Bettman has scheduled meetings with the Panthers coach Joel Quenneville, then the Blackhawks head coach, and Winnipeg GM Kevin Shavrioff, then with the Blackhawks front office to discuss their involvement from something that happened 10 years ago. I think it's a step in the Blackhawks took yesterday as a great step in the right direction. Beach said they accepted accountability, and they took action necessarily, albeit a bit too late, and the denials until yesterday. They can mend them for doing what they did coming forward. Part of their process, I'm not sure what it was. 3 or 4 months ago, the NHL denied they denied an investigation 3 months ago. They wanted nothing to do with it. Nothing. They wanted nothing to do with it. And they did not want to touch it. USA Sports also denied doing an investigation. USA Sports, they denied it. Now, in a statement that came out after the release, Stan Bowman has quoted Joel Quenneville saying that this is not a quote, this is my word, saying, quote unquote, that the playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, and trying to win a Stanley Cup championship was more important than sexual assault. And at least he told the truth finally. Give him some praise for telling the truth. So I hate dealing with those issues, but I hate even more that people have to deal with it, men and women. So if it's going on with anybody you know, you got to be willing to tell the public. You got to get some help. No one deserves to go through that garbage on his own. We're going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk more about some sports going on in the United States of America, in the words of the former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. All right, back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 17 podcast applications all over the universe. Really appreciate that. And 4 TV applications. I'm going to touch on something that not a lot of people think about it, but I want to say that this segment is sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on this game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, eat it with the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with all this exotic meat. You got to have exotic meat. I'm going to do a little upside down move. Remember the movie Top Gun when Tom Cruise, I think he was called the Maverick, he flew that F-14 fighter pilot upside down. So I'm going to give you some thoughts on some upside down teams, some teams that got to get their groove back in college football. I'm going to put just I'm not trying to shame anybody, but some programs that really got to get their groove back because they can. And they should. Number one, I'm going to say the UNLV Running Rebels, they're 0-7 for the second consecutive week. The Fighting Tuck Sharks notched a defeat from Joss of victory. The last time, when you think about it, leading the entire game, or nearly the entire game at home against San Jose State, they fell 24-3. A run by the Spartans blocked a field goal that set up San Jose State's winning field goal as time was coming to the end in the red zone. They came up short. It's all fair and level. The UNLV running rebels got it figured out. UNLV's Charles Williams had a 75-yard touchdown run, celebrates with a slot machine, and UNLV unveils a sideline slot machine. A slot machine? Come on, guys. That's a little bit too close to comfort. Number 2, the Arizona Wildcats. Man, they are 0-6. So far from the Desert Swarm defense. They also took a late lead, taking a 16-7 lead in the fourth quarter over then a 2-win Washington Husky team. Only minutes away from ending an 18-game losing streak. Instead, they fizzled late, and now that streak is up to 19 straight losses. When you think about it, Arizona's the only team in the Pac-12 that's never won or gone to the Rose Bowl. As far as I know, it may be Oregon State also, but I know Arizona has not gone to the Rose Bowl. All fair level. If UNLV and Arizona finish the season as the only winless teams, I think that'd be a great thing for them to do. Tucson and Las Vegas not that far apart. Maybe they go to Baghdad, Arizona, and have a nice game so somebody can finish with at least one win on the season. Just being silly about that. All fair and love and war. I'm going to also go number 3, the third. I mean, is it upside down? The third worst team in the country, college football. Kansas State, think about it. The Jayhawks are 1-6. That's a bad team. I mean, they play it. They are a great basketball power. How come they can't get the same paperbacks in football? It's all for love war. They had a scare for Oklahoma, though, for 4 quarters, but also considered last month losing 52-33 at Duke, 59-7 at Iowa State, and 41-14 to a Texas Tech team that immediately fired his head coach. It's a pretty bad when you think about it. The Jayhawks rated at 2.7% chance of beating Oklahoma State. Man, I'm telling you, they can't wait for basketball to start. Give basketball the praise. Number 4, one of the worst teams in college football, the UConn. The Huskies are 1-7. You can leave it to the Huskies, take a bite out of crime, really. They lost to Middle Tennessee State, 44-13. They can't wait for basketball to start either. College Football Playoff Selection Committee for scheduling the game with UConn. I think they started the season with Fresno State got blasted. Now they get blasted by Middle Tennessee State, 44-13. All fair and level war. I'm going to think about this. Illinois, a 20-18 win over Penn State in 9 overtimes. Give the 9 overtimes some praise. But wow. They got to change the overtime rules for them. You know, Coach Franklin at USC next year, maybe. Penn State coach James Franklin ended answering questions about the USC opening job itself. I think that you're going to have to get Nick Saban and not try to joke around with Coach Franklin or anybody else. Coach Franklin's not winning the Big Ten every year. Go get Ryan Day out of Ohio State to bring to USC. That's my opinion. Don't go get Franklin. Last time he played against USC beat him in the Rose Bowl, I think 38-24. Mark Sanchez was quarterback. And so now there's another team. It's called, Florida International University. They're 1-6. It's like a Butch Davis farewell tour. A 34-19 loss to Western Kentucky, which has 2 wins on the season. The Panthers travel to Marshall, and they're going to finish in the bottom of the conference. They're going to play Old Dominion soon. They got North Texas coming up also. I feel bad for these teams. I really hate pulling out the bottom teams, but it's all fair and level war. UMass, number 7 on the list. They're 1-6. After beating UConn, snapped a 16-game losing streak. The Minutemen go back on track with a 59-3 loss at Florida State. Think about that. This is a team that's part of the first Division I AA college national football playoff back in 1978. I want to go to New Mexico State. I don't want to go there, but obviously they're ranked in the bottom 8 in the country. They're 1-6 on the season. And when you think about it, New Mexico State-Hawaii game on TV, really? They're going to put that on TV? I listened to you can listen to a play-by-play of that call. It's like it's a bad program. I know they have a hard time winning. Why not go down Division I AA or FCS? At least they would give their players a chance to compete, play in the FCS, instead of being 1-6 and beaten up in the FBS. Go down to the FCS. Maybe they would be out of 7 games 4-3 right now. Just a thought. It's just a thought. You give the kids a chance to have some competition. When you're getting about 12,000 fans at your home football games in Division I, that's not good. Stadium hosts 35,000. It's all fair and level war, but it's just football. They got to figure out how to put them in a conference they can compete in. Number 9, Tulane, 1-7. Those waves, the Green Waves, when you think about it, the Green Wave is supposed to be something that's good. They had Hurricane Ida that was really difficult on the people down in that part of the country. They also just extended SMU's unbeaten season, a 55-26 loss in Dallas. Now they face another team that's probably going to beat the tide off of them in second-rate Cincinnati, the Bearcats, and they're a 25-point home underdog, and it may not be that close. And then I'm going to go Georgia Southern, 2-5. This is a team back in the early 80s, had Tracy Ham was a great quarterback there. But the weekend that Georgia Southern lost, and they go, think about it, they host rival Georgia State University for the battle for the use of the GSU Bowl, presented by Gulf States Utility and the Genealogical Society of Utah. The winner shall move on to face Grambling State University in another game where obviously I wish them nothing but the best. I feel like so many people love college football, but put people in a situation where they can win. And thinking of winning, Ed Orgeron, going back to the SEC, Ed Orgeron says the Tigers cannot hold football practice due to a number of injuries. Think about that. Ed Orgeron, they're going to let him go at the end of the season. Won a national championship 2 years ago. They have a few players available because of injuries. So few players that they will be unable to hold a full football practice today. Ed Orgeron told reporters during the conference call. He added that a previously scheduled scrimmage on Thursday is not going to be able to take place either. LSU has the week off before it travels to play at number 4 Alabama, and they fell to 4-4 after a loss to Ole Miss over the weekend. Now, 2 weeks ago, LSU coach Ed Orgeron, they parted ways. They said he was partying too much. Hey, they have polyamorous relationships down at LSU. All that moonshine, what do you expect? He didn't know that woman wasn't his wife, or maybe he did. People do what they want to do. But they agreed to a split. He and the university split. He and the wife staying together. But Orgeron said he's going to receive all of his $17 million on his contract. Wanted to finish out the job rather than walk away before the season's over. I think they owe that to the kids that he recruited and helped them win a national championship a couple of years ago. Quarterback Miles Brennan, who was in a battle with Max Johnson in the spring to become the starter, he broke his arm before a preseason camp, among other injuries since then. Offensive lineman Anthony Bradford, safety Major Burns, defensive end Ali Gay, and Andre Anthony, as well as All-American quarterbacks Derek Stingley Jr. should be playing in the NFL, in my opinion, and Eli Riggs. Keyshawn Boutte, who was at one time tied for the most receiving touchdowns in the FBS, just lost with a season-ending injury as well. So I wish them nothing but the best, that they can figure out how to do something that's going to help at least pay the kids off. I mean, don't pay them off money. We've been doing that already. He said, we already been paying them off. I want to go to Old Dominion. The Monarchs become the 14th member of the Sun Belt Conference, July 2023. More alignment happening. Old Dominion is going to join the Sun Belt Conference no later than July 1st, 2023. The conference announced that today, which will increase its membership to 14 schools. And the Sun Belt presidents and the chancellors, when you think about it, voted unanimously to add Old Dominion University to the league, which includes current members Appalachian State, Little Rock, Arkansas State, Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, Louisiana Monroe, South Alabama, University of Texas San Antonio, Texas State in Troy, and incoming member Southern Miss, which will also join later in July of 2023. And so that's some conference alignment going on. Even BYU is talking about jumping to the Big 12 conference. We'll see if that happens. It's just about trying to grow the conference affiliation, and hopefully they can find a way to do that. And everybody understands. I want to bring up something that's pretty In fact, I don't want to bring it up because I don't want to bring up negative things. I've already had a negative story to report. So you can Google it. Virginia Tech suspends a linebacker indicted on a charge. I don't want to get into it because I don't know enough about that to get into it. But you can Google that. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. In the words of the former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C Sports. You can also know the Big C timeout you can find us in 17 podcast applications all over the universe. Really appreciate that. This segment is sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on its game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, eat it with the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with all this exotic meat. Tonight's schedule, Wednesday, October 27th. NBA basketball, we have Charlotte will be at Orlando. These games are already underway. They've tipped off. And then that tipped off already underway. Washington is going to be at Boston. 4:30 p.m. tip already underway. So Washington is at Boston. Miami, they were at Brooklyn. Brooklyn trying to, what a game that should be with Miami facing off against Brooklyn, 2 Eastern Conference powers. You have Indiana is going to be at Toronto across the border, north of the border. Atlanta Hawks at the New Orleans Pelicans. This segment sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger and it comes with what's all this exotic meat. And the Pelican and the Hawk are exotic meats. Minnesota is at the Milwaukee Bucks, the defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks. I want to give them praise. They earned it, defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks. And that's also sponsored by the Big C Burger. What's all this exotic meat? A Timberwolf and a Buck are exotic meats last I checked. I want to also bring you the Los Angeles Lakers at the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it should be thundering in Oklahoma City, thundering full of dunks and three-point plays. And looking forward to maybe LeBron James' foot as our ankles feeling better. But Westbrook was doing his thing also the last time the Lakers laced him up. The Sacramento Kings at the Phoenix Suns down in the Valley of the Desert. This will be a statement game for the Sacramento Kings. They beat Portland on the road. They came back home, lost to Utah and Golden State. If they can go and knock off the defending Western Conference champion, the Phoenix Suns, that will bode well for Luke Walton and the Sacramento Kings. If not, it's just more of what they had last year, just like Groundhog Day. The Memphis Grizzlies, them good old boys are up north taking on Dollar Dame and the Portland Trail Blazers. Should be a good game. Ja Morant, Dollar Dame, can't wait to see that. Give them good old boys some praise. Ja Morant, Dollar Dame. Who will score over 30? Probably both of them. We have Cleveland. This is for you. They're at the L.A. Clippers. Don't think Cleveland's going to get out of there with a win. The L.A. Clippers, most likely. There's no Kawhi Leonard, but they do have the great King Paul George. Should have enough going in his tank to get the win for the L.A. Clippers, especially they being at home. I want to talk about just the thought. Ja Morant, some people say he's unstoppable. This is year 3. He can leap tall buildings in a single bound. He knows how to get into the paint. He can pull up and shoot for 3. He just needs a little bit more meat on his bones. That's my opinion. Imagine if he got into the weight room, how much better he could be. In Memphis Grizzlies point guard Ja Morant, get that good about some praise. He's making one small step for Memphis, one giant leap for the Memphis Grizzlies. After 2 years of winning Rookie of the Year, the number 2 overall NBA pick in 2019 NBA draft. Would you believe he leads the league with 35 points per game? Give that good boy some praise. Give him 35 points per game. He's doing more than Steph Curry. But that's through his first 3 games of the 2021-22 season. That's how good he is. He was drafted 2019. He hasn't even hit the weight room yet. He's already scored at least 37 points in a game, as many as 2 times in the first 2 NBA campaigns combined. Morant and the Grizzlies expect to be back in the playoff tournament mix after a future-focused offseason by way of trades and draft picks. They won the first 2 games by a 3-point loss to the Los Angeles Lakers in the second game and back-to-back over the weekend at Staples Center. Since Morant exploded in the scene, a 20-year-old rookie, he's only 20. He can't even drink. Think about this. He's only 20 years old. A 20-year-old rookie when he came on the scene. So now he's 22 years old. And he's only going to get better. A lot of players hit their stride at 25. Steph Curry is 33. He's been doing this groove for the last 7, 8 years now. But when you think about that, Morant he's climbed the ladder already. Is it sustainable for him? I think so. But he's going to have to put on some weight like Michael Jordan did back in the day. He's a performance maker. He's a must-show. When you show him coming to town, people sell out. He has a lot of potential going forward. But he's going to have to lift some weights or they're going to break him down with the defense. They'll play physical against him. They're not going to have to watch him play. They want to break him down. That game against Portland, Dollar Ding, John Morant, must-see TV, all fan level war. There's some reasons that you watch this good old boy. His impressive early showing is a stark contrast to last season. The Grizzlies were the NBA's only team without a 20-point-per-game scorer on their roster. Orlando Magic did not finish with one either after leading the score with Nikolai Vucevic in the trade deadline at 19 points per game. But I think about Morant and Memphis players to average 17 to 20 points, tied for most in the league. I'm thinking they have a solid team. Memphis, I'm looking forward to what they do as they make a run for the Western Conference playoffs. Think about this. After some medical testing, you got the former MVP or the current reigning MVP, Nikolai Jokic, the Joker. They had Wednesday taken some x-rays, no structural damage found in the Denver Nuggets center. The reigning MVP, Nikolai Jokic, has a knee issue. As source confirmed as sports media, he suffered a right knee contusion late in the second quarter of Tuesday night against the Jazz and was held out for the remainder of the it was a 122-110 loss at Utah. And then Wednesday morning, his knee was feeling sore, and reports by the Denver Post said that he appears to have avoided a serious injury. Thank good for that. Jazz center Rudy Gobert attempted to drive on Nikolai Jokic along the baseline when the knee banged on Tuesday. Jokic went down almost immediately and appeared to be in a great deal of pain, and he's held his right knee. I think he left the game with about 1:50 remaining in the second quarter and initially listed as questionable by the team, but Joker was on an effort to warm up at the halftime. Mike Malone, the head coach, talked to his center and then made the decision to keep him out of the lineup for the game. And just to be safe, keep him out, make sure he's good. Oftentimes you got to save players from themselves because he's going to feel like he can always play. You don't need any more stars going down. Coach Malone later added, he learned about the Joker's injury. If you leave it up to Nikolai, he's going to play every game. But you don't leave it up to the players. Throw in the towel, Rocky. Throw in the towel. That was in the movie Rocky, All Fair and Worth of a War. But hopefully he's going to be okay. The Nuggets are already without the star guard Jamal Murray. He's recovering from a torn ACL suffered in April. So the Joker won his first MVP award last season. Yeah, give that some praise. And they're off to a hot start. He had 24 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and made 8 of 9 shooting in 15 minutes in the first half against Utah. But I'm telling you, he's averaged about 28 points a game, 16 rebounds, and 4 assists. All fair and level war. More about King James. I want to give Nikolai, your MVP, some praise. Give him praise. Stay safe, my friend. Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James. King James to miss a second straight NBA game with an ankle injury. When he goes down, you know he's tough. He had some leg injuries last year. But the Lakers star, LeBron James, will not play against Oklahoma City Thunder on Wednesday night, so that's tonight, and he sits out a second straight game because of some soreness in his right ankle. The team announced that already. Anthony Davis, who went down with a right knee injury late in the fourth quarter Tuesday, also an overtime win against San Antonio. He will play against the Thunder tonight, so give him some praise. These guys were all banged up last year in the playoffs too. Had a win against Memphis Grizzlies. Desmond Bain fell into James' right leg after scoring a layup, causing King James to go to the floor. I think it's going to be okay. All fair and level war. We don't want to see any more injuries with NBA players. LeBron missed 26 games last season with a high right ankle sprain, and Coach Frank Vogel said that Tuesday it was not related to that same injury, so give that some praise. Got to see good guys stay healthy. Davis, who stayed in the game the final 32 seconds in regulation after injuring his knee, said he received ice treatment on the knee in the locker room and did not go further evaluation. It's going to be all fair and level war. I'm wishing all these players to just stay healthy. I know everybody wants to be tough. They want to tough it out and be the tough guy, but you can't always be a tough player. You got to get the coach's decision to say, we're not going to play you. If you're sitting out because of injury, you don't have any business being on the court. So I want to give a lot of thought and praise to all of our team doctors. They work hard to keep players safe. You can't leave it up to a player because if you do, oftentimes these guys just will not come out. They believe that they're Superman and I know they got to keep them safe because we want everybody to get healthy. Even if you go into this coasted mode where you want to kind of sit out the top players and kind of give them some game management time, yeah, give them whatever they need. Because if we don't have them playing, then it's not good for the regular season. Even though people think, oh, these guys are just sitting out, they want to try to conserve some energy so they're strong during the playoffs. And maybe that's the case for some coaches and organizations. But I take a player at his word. If the player says he's hurt or banged up, yeah, let that good boy sit out. You don't want to lose him just because people think that maybe they're faking the funk. They're not faking the funk. It's all fair and love and war. Anybody gets hurt, take the time to sit out and get the medical treatment that you need in order to get better. I think it's all fair and love and war. I want to say this final segment sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on its game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big games, watch it with the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with all those exotic meats. It's all fair and love and war. And I have this thought with sports, whether it's Major League Baseball or NBA basketball, the World Series to me tonight, it should be, and it must be, I won't say must be, it's a game that obviously, if you are the Houston Astros, you got to find a way to win this game. Because you're at home and you don't want to go down 2-0. Dusty Baker's a great manager. They may find a way to win tonight. But last night they fell 6-2 to the Atlanta Braves. And the Braves have figured out a way to hit. I mean, they hit in timely fashion. When Acuna Jr. went down, everybody thought it was going to be a bad season for them, that even if they would even make the playoffs. But they proved that they're more than just Acuna Jr. They have good pitching. They know how to run the bases. They do whatever it takes to find ways to get their lineup strong. And I really appreciate and see how this is a great baseball series. It's really about Hank Aaron, the year of Hank Aaron. Also, Dusty Baker. I would love to see Dusty Baker get a championship for his efforts. He's done so much for the world of Major League Baseball, especially going down to Houston and helping them right the ship, helping baseball get back on the right side of things. I know people say Houston cheats, and this is not the team that Dusty's managing that was caught up in the scandal. That's somebody else. That was another manager, and you can't keep looking at Houston as being a team that cheats. The Astros and the Braves is all fair and love and war. I want to just mention something that happened on the series last night. When you have a player that has a broken leg and he goes out and he toughs it out, I don't know if that's the smartest thing to do, but it's amazing how you can have that and you're able to get your team to rally behind you because they knew he was injured. And I give him praise for fighting through the pain. But when you fight through the pain, you also can do more damage for your career long term. So even though, yeah, it's great to see a player go through and have a broken leg and feel like he's still able to play. Now, some guys are pain tolerant. So what might be something that you just say, I can't do it, other guys can. Morton's wins, it tests on his leg. It says Houston, injured Braves starter Charlie Morton temporarily departed the World Series Wednesday and traveled to Green Bay, Wisconsin to get some more tests. I've always heard when I was an athlete, you got to tough it out. You got to be tough. You play to play. You play to win the game. We all know they want to cheer your name, and you play to win the game. But Major League Baseball and NFL football, NBA basketball, they have the best team doctors. They have the best medical equipment. They can get guys back on the mend soon, whether it's Kevin Durant coming back from he had that Achilles tendon. Now he's still able to drop 30 a game. You have players that get injured. LeBron James, he had the issue last year. Anthony Davis had the issue. Guys get issues. You have the Splash Brothers. Klay Thompson had the issues also with his ACL, and he's going to be back in the saddle for the Golden State Warriors this year. But young players, don't try to toughen it out like the older players or the guys in the professional leagues. You always have a chance to come back and prove, yeah, I'm a teammate. I'm a big-time player. I can play through pain. But Charlie Morton, wishing him nothing but the best. It's amazing. He went out to Wisconsin to get it checked out. So he departed World Series today, traveled to Green Bay to see a specialist about the fractured right fibula that ended his season in Game 1 on Tuesday night. I still want to give him praise. He wowed his teammates in the game to face 3 more hitters after he was injured at a 102-mile-per-hour comeback off the bat. The Astros first baseman Yuli Gurriel in the second inning. The ball struck Morton's lower right leg near the ankle, and then obviously the rest was history. It was a break, but he still toughed it out. I don't know how you do that, but I just appreciate that he has the ability to fight through pain. But you don't have to fight through pain. We'll see a great World Series. I still said it's going to be the Houston Astros in 6 games, or it's going to be the Atlanta Braves in 7. And I might be wrong about both. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young of a rumble. He said, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? And what's all those exotic meats in your locker room? Ali said, I'm pretty. I can't possibly be beat. These Big C burgers make me light on my feet. That's why I float like a butterfly. And I sting like a bee. I rumble, young man rumble. With all I got to use, how can I lose? All friend, love, and war. My beautiful mother always says there's no excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help. Because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day. With all this exciting news